Open weeks aren't the worst thing in college hockey, especially when the newly revamped postseason is just around the corner. We will recap what UND's been up to since their last contest and offer insight on the changes to the NCHC playoffs on this edition of North Dakota Hockey Central. I'm Alex Heinert. Great to have you with us for another half hour inside the nation's top college hockey program. Coming up, we will hear from head coach Brad Berry on UND's approach to the bye week and get to know another talented freshman defenseman on this year's roster. But first, let's check out the latest edition of the award-winning web series, Through These Doors.
Through These Doors is presented by Gate City Bank.
I think it's a tale of 2 years, right? We were asked to go play the majority of our games on the road in the first half and even in the second half of the season on the road early on here. And a lot of things due to COVID, right? The schedule had to be shifted around, and our guys were very open to that. And you gotta admire that. Sometimes you go into it with a negative attitude, but our guys were very positive, and you got to look at everything in life, and that's what we truly believe is a glass half full approach. And if you look at the glass half full, we got to spend a lot of time with each other on the road, which helps us to bond together and meld together as a team. And I think that was outstanding and made our team closer. Now, I think, we get the benefit of playing at home. We're a tight team, and now we've been together for a while, and now we get to play in the confines of the Ralph Engelstad Arena here, and where we've had success. And it doesn't guarantee us success right now, but if we play to our identity and play the way we need to, like in years past, it's a benefit to us. So.
After traversing all the road games this season, the news of the NCHC tournament coming to Grand Forks brightens the guys' spirits.
Yeah, it means a lot. I haven't played a game in the Ralph in over a calendar year. Well, it feels like that. And yeah, to finish off all the games on the at home is going to be special for me. My freshman year, we played down at the X for the Frozen Face-Off. And I think the biggest thing that stuck out with me from that experience was just how passionate the UND fans are in those Twin City areas and the surrounding area. Each game we played, you could see all the green jerseys, and it just meant a lot to us to have all those people come out and cheer us on. But I think it's going to be even more special having the NCHC playoffs in Grand Forks this year.
Coach Berry feels like he has connected with his players on a deeper level despite the different circumstances to start out the year.
This year especially, we get all involved and consumed with the game of hockey and preparing what we have to do to try to have success on a weekend, and then obviously competing on the weekend at a high level. But I think the individual right now and how they're doing it, coping with a year that everybody's never ever been through with the COVID issues and different things, and communication is a big deal. Like encouraging us as a staff to communicate with our players, player to player, and just kind of seeing how everybody's doing on a daily basis. That's a huge deal, because you know what? I think hockey players are people that kind of keep things inside a little bit, and when you ask somebody how they're doing, the automatic response is, yeah, doing great. Where you really have to make sure that you communicate and see, and if somebody needs help, and then you're there for that. And I think the word that it boils down to is care, and our culture really cares for each other.
Whether it was in the pod in Omaha where we had the little nest there, and they were able to come down and hang out with us and play some pool, and I think that's a big thing with players and coaches, just being able to have a little bit of a bond and not too much of a strictly player-coach relationship. Just being able to, feel comfortable and they show that they care and they care for us. And obviously, I think that helps with the play on the ice, making sure that you care about the coaches just as much as they care about you. So.
An event of this magnitude at the Ralph opens the door for future generations of players to get a glimpse of UND hockey.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that tune into it. And for my brother especially, I know he watches most of our games. And, I think it just gives them kind of an insight on how we play and what the NCHC is like. The parity in the NCHC is incredible from 1 to 8, and there's no easy weekends. So I think it just kind of goes to show how strong our conference really is.
Well done. Thanks to Tyler Hasted, Chad O'Shea, Cassie Niles, and UND's entire Through These Doors team. Coming up, we're heading to the Ralph to preview a major rivalry series for UND with Brad Berry. Hear from the head coach next on North Dakota Hockey Central. Welcome back to North Dakota Hockey Central. Let's go out now to Ralph Engelstad Arena to catch up with UND head coach Brad Berry. Brad, thanks for the time today.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex.
After 4 straight weekends of action to open the second half, your team had their first open week since the turn of the year. How did you and the team spend the time?
Yeah, that's a great question, Alex. I think it came at a very good time. We went through 8 games. We were 6-2 in that time since the pod, and I think the guys were playing very well. It's just one of those things where you probably need to take a breath, physically and mentally, and try to regroup and get refreshed for the push drive here. So, and it gave us a chance to work on a few things structurally in practice, but also give some guys some time physically and mentally to reset here a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. Now, normally these open weeks provide additional opportunity for you and the staff to get out and recruit. How has that recruiting process been altered, though, this year, especially with so many junior leagues sidelined because of COVID concerns?
Yeah, that's another great question. And the fact that we've been doing, I guess, the recruiting side of it like every other program has virtually. Whether it's watching games and evaluating talent through video or having some Zoom conversations with players and their parents that we have an interest in. So, we continue to do that, and, up until, we get the word that we can, go on the road and recruit and we can have families on campus, that's the way it's going to be. But we've really taken a steadfast approach and really dove in here over the last few months of trying to shore up our future classes coming into North Dakota.
Yeah, I love those Zoom calls, Brad. You just mentioned a moment ago that this bye was coming at the right time in order to get your team back to full health. How do you balance the fine line between letting your players recover while trying to keep them sharp for the stretch run?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing now this time of year, everybody, staff included, players and staff together are really looking forward to, the push, the final drive, and then playoffs. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's been a long year. So I think our challenge is to make sure you keep things fresh, but looking yourself in the mirror and seeing the things you really have to work on and get better at and keep accentuating the things that you're really strong at. So there's a balance there, and I think our players do a pretty good job of competing hard and getting the things that we need out of practice, and then looking after their bodies, making sure they have enough time to recuperate away from the rink here to bring it each and every day.
Brad, how have you seen that bye week approach change over the years, even going back to your playing days?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you always worry about, collectively as a team that is, that, if you're playing well, you want to continue that, and you hope you don't have any rust coming back, into, playing again after a week off. But you know what? Our guys have done a good job. They've been excited through the whole year. They've had a lot coming at them. Through the extensive time in the pod, through taking a short break, turning it around with guys in and out of the lineup. They've done a good job of being focused. So, it's one of those things that, we embrace that time off, but know that we have to be sharp here right away when we play Denver this weekend.
In other news, we found out earlier this week that your home arena is going to be hosting the NCHC playoffs this year. How exciting is that for you and your team, Brad?
Oh, it's very exciting. It's one of those things where a lot of things go into it. The body of work of you playing this year, and we've been at the top all year here, and of trying to earn that home ice advantage. This year's an obscure year. It's going into single elimination into one site. Before it was top 4 teams host, and that's the thing that you always want to play in the Ralph in your building here. And it seems like we've been on the road a lot. We've only played 2 of our games at home our whole season here, and to know that we got our next 5 or 6 at home in the regular season plus postseason in the NCHC playoff tournament being in the Ralph here, that's a big deal for us. And we know how much it takes to go on the road, being there in 3 weeks in Omaha. We're looking forward to being Grand Forks here for the playoffs.
Yeah, certainly nice to be home. Yeah, well, along with the Frozen Face-Off shifting from St. Paul to Grand Forks, the format has changed as well. What do you make of the decision to go single elimination in the quarterfinals this year?
Well, I think what it does is it tries to bring everybody in a kind of a controlled, safe environment into one place instead of traveling all over the country in different venues and then trying to hammer out a bunch of games in a short amount of time. And the traditional way would be playing the best of 3, and if you did that, it would take a long time to complete. This makes sense. It's a logical way to do things and to give everybody an equal chance to win the playoff championship. So again, every team's going to have to be ready. We're going to have to be ready right away, knowing that it's single elimination, and you got to win 3 games to win the playoff championship.
Yeah, it's exciting to talk playoffs, which are less than a month away now, but there is still a lot of work to be done in the regular season, starting this weekend against Denver in a huge series in the race for the Penrose Cup. How do you help your team stay loose when every game now carries such significance the rest of the way?
Well, staying loose is one thing, but, getting to that edge and playing with intensity without being nervous or carefree or careless, you could say. It's one of those things where we've done a really good job of communicating with our players as far as checking the different boxes that we have to do. We need 1 regulation win to clinch home ice. We need, 5 of the next 6 games are at home in the Ralph, so we control our own destiny on trying to win this Penrose Cup. Can't worry about what other teams are doing, winning or losing. We got to just control our next 6 games here and check in that Penrose Cup box. And then from there, we have other boxes to check, but we really don't want to get ahead of ourselves on that. But just making sure that, everybody's on the same page and communicating, what our goals are and what we have to do in the short term.
Brad, you split with the Pioneers in the pod and then split again with them in Magnus Arena last month. What have you learned about the matchup over your first 4 meetings?
Yeah, very, comparable teams as far as how they play with pace and offensive ability, how they defend, really good goaltending. So it's a really good matchup in the fact that both teams play very much similar style of hockey. I like to think that, now that we're at home here, and it doesn't guarantee a success, but playing at the Ralph here and having last line change and making sure that, you use your venue to the advantage that you can. I like to think it would help us here with the 2 games against Denver.
You had some names on the injury list in your last series against Omaha. How close to full strength will you be this coming weekends?
Well, I think we'll be right there. I think we have a couple guys that are, nicked up a little bit, but, at the end of the day, they're getting really close to being in our lineup here, and we still have a couple days away before we're playing. And like I said, our guys want to play. I know every team is going through it right now. When you go through a grind, everybody's playing a little bit banged up or hurt, and I know it's a situation where everybody is going to be chomping at the bit to try to do as much as they can for their team.
Yeah, you can bet, certainly. Well, we're excited to see your team back in action this weekend, Brad. Thanks again for the time. Best of luck against the U.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Alex. Look forward to seeing you and the crew here back at the Ralph.
You bet, can't wait. Well, when North Dakota Hockey Central returns, we will hear from the latest New England native to don a UND sweater. Much more with Cooper Moore after this. Welcome back. UND doesn't often head out east on the recruiting trail, but when they do, Bradbury and company have had success. Last year, the team added New York native and eventual NCHC Rookie of the Year Shane Pinto. This season, a defenseman from Connecticut was brought in, and the returns have been good so far. For more on North Dakota's newest East Coast edition, here's Cooper Moore in his own words.
I'm Cooper Moore. I'm a defenseman. I'm from Coscob, Connecticut, and I play for the University of North Dakota. So it's in the south of the state, and it's kind of like 45 minutes north of New York City. But a lot of people commute and take the train into New York City, so there's a lot of people from there. Honestly, when I was younger, I didn't really like the city at all. There was a lot going on, and every time my family would go, my sisters would just want to shop. So I'd always get dragged around, but now both my sisters actually live there, and they're excited for me to come visit because they got a lot of things planned for some fun things to do, so I'm sure I'll learn more about it. They're Katie and Kristen. Katie's the older one and Kristen's the middle child. And we were really close growing up. And then they when I got to high school, they were all out of the house. So like it was a little different, but once they moved back, we got really close. And you know, I love my sisters. I have a lot of fun with them, so it's nice to have two older sisters. I would say like my dad and my grandfather, I really look up to them. I think you know, they're both really hardworking, and they try to instill some good values in me. And my dad can be a little hard on me sometimes, but it's honestly really good for me. I need it sometimes. So my mom's family, my uncle and my grandpa both played hockey, and so my mom's really into it. So my parents kind of decided to start me pretty young. And when I first skated, I fell and I didn't really like it. And then as soon as I threw the pads on, I loved it, and ever since I haven't stopped. So it's been awesome. It's honestly been surreal. You know, I kind of never really thought of it like my freshman, sophomore year. I was just kind of trying to play college hockey, and I didn't know if I could really do it. And then my junior year, I kind of decided I really wanted to play hockey, and then I got to meet the coaches here and ended up choosing to come here, and I haven't looked back. I think it's honestly just working hard. I think all my coaches, when I was younger, kind of prided like working hard in practice and not really taking reps off, and I think just kind of sticking with it, and honestly, like, it sounds cliche, like loving the game, but like if you do all the stuff off the ice, like it'll show. I think I'm all over the place. I like all kinds of music. A lot of the guys are big country fans, so especially like Reese Gaber and Griffin Ness, they're kind of getting me into the country a little bit more. We've had some battles on the tennis courts. And I played tennis growing up, and so I think that's probably one of my skills that not many people would know about. Two-handed, but one-hand slice. So kind of a combination. Golf. I think I've been improving my golf game, but you know, I can't really control my slice or my hook that well, and I've gotten better this summer, especially playing with all the guys. You know, they're all really into it, and I kind of just got really big into it this year, so I'm hoping I can get better here. I'm Cooper Moore. I'm a defenseman. I'm from Coscob, Connecticut, and I play for the University of North Dakota.
Moore has really come on as this season has progressed. He's netted a pair of goals in UND's last two series and looks like someone you can pencil in as a regular on the blue line for the foreseeable future. Cooper's team is coming back home this weekend for a big series against Denver. We will preview those games against the Pios and the rest of the weekend in the NCHC after this. Let's check out what's happening around the college hockey world now, beginning with this week's USCHO.com poll. A split with Boston University did not knock Boston College off top spot as the Eagles remain #1 for a fourth consecutive week. The pollsters, though, were not as kind to Minnesota as the Gophers dropped from 2-5 after being swept at home by Wisconsin by a combined score of 12-2. UND, Minnesota State, and Minnesota Duluth all moved up in Minnesota's place. In the chase for the Penrose Cup, a 6-game winning streak has Minnesota Duluth on top in total points, though North Dakota is only 1 point back with a game in hand. St. Cloud State would have been tied with the Bulldogs on 39 points if not for an overtime defeat against Western Michigan this weekend, though the Huskies are still very much in the hunt as well. This weekend's slate will look relatively normal, as for the first time this season, all 8 teams will play on Friday, Saturday on the same weekend. It only took until the middle of February to pull this off. Duluth will look to keep their unbeaten run going at Western. St. Cloud travels to a Miami team that's winless in their last 8, while Omaha hosts CC, who is winless in their last 7. Then there's UND and Denver. North Dakota needs a series win to keep their Penrose Cup hopes in good standing, while the Pioneers need the same to get them back in the NCAA tournament conversation. It should all make for great drama this Friday and Saturday night at the REA.
You know, the Ralph allows fans. Obviously the building's not full, but you know, the last 2 games we played at home, you know, they obviously made a difference, I think. Kind of, I guess, being able to sleep in your own bed and, you know, not worrying have to travel or kind of get the travel legs out. I think we're a really good team at home, and you know, it'll be nice to play the rest of the games, or the 5 out of the 6 games at home.
Both games of this rivalry series will air live on MidcoSN, with our coverage Friday beginning at 7:30 p.m. and Saturday at 6 p.m. We will cover both games and more for you next week at this time on North Dakota Hockey Central. Until then, on behalf of our MidcoSN crew, I'm Alex Heinert. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the Ralph.